Stream. Well, usually thumbs up. I don't know.
I got the thumbs up.
Okay. You got time to fix your hair. Okay. All right. I'd like to call the Bruce Township Zoning Board of Appeals meeting of June 2nd, 2025 to order, please. Roll call, Dana.
Here.
Here.
Here. Here.
Here. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4 is approval of the agenda. Entertain a motion.
Move to approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
Any additions, changes to the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 5 is approval of the previous minutes, the meeting of February 24th, 2025. Motion to approve.
I move to approve.
Moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any additions or corrections to the minutes?
It should be dark sky.
I have, Rick had one, and I have another minor correction. On page 2, in the motion, it's a maximum of 70 decibels at the property line during the day. That should read from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., not a maximum, should be stricken. And then minimum lighting requirements or less apply to the property. Look at the dark sky rather than light.
Where's that?
Same paragraph, couple sentences down.
Okay.
That's all I have. Does anyone else have any additions or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's approved. Item 6, unfinished business. Does anyone have any unfinished business? No. Item 7, new business, Quadrate Construction Space Park variance on parcel 1400125400022. Let me just get a little. I will go over this quickly because we don't have a large audience tonight. It's on public participation. Just if anyone comes in, if they are speaking for the project, in other words, making the presentation, you have as much time as it takes you. Anyone speaking under public participation basically has 3 minutes. But we're pretty flexible. We're more interested in getting the information than we are adhering to a time limit. So so you know the public hearing process that we will be opening here shortly. As I stated, you have unlimited time to make your presentation. Members of the public will have 3 minutes under public participation. In order to approve a variance 3 affirmative votes are required. If there are less board members, which there are not tonight, less than the 5, the applicant has a choice of postponing the meeting until they get the 5th representative. All other ordinances and requirements are in play and are not waived if a variance is granted for the project. The section 161-7.1-C6, which I will go over, defines the basis that we are required to meet in order to grant a variance. If you are not happy with the decision of this body, you may proceed to circuit court. There's no other internal appellate mechanism within the township. At this time, would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
I move
For
to
the
open the
appeal.
public meeting.
Support.
Okay, I have, my watch and that clock aren't anywhere close. 6:05. Yeah, okay. Open the public hearing at 6:05. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Public hearing is now open. At this time, you can step to the mic, state your name, and make the presentation. The board members will ask you questions. Feel free to ask questions. If at the end of your presentation, something pops into your head, you want to bring something forward, this is a formal process, but we try to keep it as informal as possible. We're interested in the information, so you can provide it at any time, ask questions, and if there's a question that we ask you that prompts another thought, feel free to do it.
Understood.
We're interested in the information.
So Christian Contarino with Quadri Construction. I'm the one who provided the renderings, the drawings through our design team for the owner. Owner's present here tonight. They're going to be building a manufacturing and tooling facility at the Bruce Tech what is it called? Bruce Tech? Space Tech, but it's at the Bruce Tech Park, I believe. We are requesting a variance from the original or the ordinance at 35 feet to 45 foot 6 inches. And this requirement is for the owner's fabrication and fabricating the tooling and the, what do you call them, parts?
Tooling and jigs for aerospace space.
So they really need that height to be able to get the equipment lifted off of trucks, and it has height to it itself, and obviously semi-height is 6-7 feet off the ground to a flatbed, so we need that extra height requirement for them to actually build profitable business. And they would already have a facility in Bruce, correct?
Oh, yeah, we currently have one facility and there's 2.
Anything else at this point?
Anything you guys need, just ask. We'll have the answers here for you.
All right. Is there any?
So the trucks are typically 5 to 6 feet on a flatbed, right? And your parts are,
I would say it's less about the flatbed and the truck. They're going to need to maneuver these pieces up, tilt them to be able to work on them, all different sides. Am I right in saying that, Roger?
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's not necessarily about the truck requirement. They're going to get parts and pieces shipped to the facility that they're going to use in manufacturing this,
okay. So it's
which
not
will come in
loading
on.
and unloading the truck, 'cause that's.
It's partially that, because when you have a 35-foot piece of equipment that's got to go on a truck for a wide load, haul, they still need that requirement, right? So, but it's more for internal purposes, be able to maneuver the equipment inside the facility to fabricate it and add on to it and build, what's required and engineered. And if anything I'm saying is wrong, Roger, please butt in.
You're right. I mean,
Can you please step to the mic so it's recorded, please? Thank you.
Roger Walker, Sharp Tooling Solutions. So the type of tooling, Detroit is known for automotive, and I don't know who's followed what lately, but probably over the last 20 years, it's transitioned into space, aerospace, defense, and that's primarily our business. So what's important to us is under the hook. 30 foot, which is the requirement for 45 for the height, is actually still small. But that's what we're requesting. If you go down to Cherry Creek, or even the building you guys built for Henshaw, the one on the corner of 33 and Powell, he's 44, right?
Yep.
Under the roof.
That's Armada,
It's Armada.
yeah.
So this is more of a standard need. All those buildings out there that Dick Schaefer started to build, they're too shallow. There's not enough height under the hook. So we have plenty of opportunity to go to other states and other areas, but, you know, we've been here for 40 years and we're looking to expand. And we've been involved in that park for 25 years, going back on the property. Now we're starting to make a move. These are some of the requirements. Most of the buildings in there will require higher height elevations.
Are these related to stationary fixtures that you got to bring in that are that high, or is the parts that you're bringing in and maneuvering around?
It's mostly tooling,
Tooling,
not
okay.
so, and parts, but you're welcome to come out and tour the plant. You can go down to the sister plant, Futuramic. That particular tool is 234 feet vertical. It's down in NASA at the Kennedy Space Center. It obviously is built in tiers, but there's 7 tiers, an elevator system. We're talking about big stuff, guys. You get on a plane, look at a wing, look at a fuselage. I mean, 20 foot is nothing. And to properly do it safely, we need the height under the hook.
Any other questions?
No, I mean, I can add to that. I work for General Motors and we work with a lot of suppliers, and I know they struggle with the same issues of having that distance to keep cranes in the buildings. I get it.
I'm not familiar with the terminology, so you say under the hook. What does under the hook mean?
Well, it's when the crane's installed underneath the engineered trusses, it's what we can pick up from the hook to the floor.
Okay.
So it's a hook height.
So they're going to have a crane mounted on rails that's suspended from the building or independently suspended from the ground, and it's going to be able to travel the length of the building and maneuver and, you know, put pieces and parts in different areas of the building if that's needed. Lift the equipment, place those tiers on top of each other to make sure that all the connections fit properly so that when they build it out in the field, it works.
Thank you.
Is the building in the front going to be 2 stories? Is there going to be a,
It's going to be 2 stories, but it's going to be shorter
Yeah.
than the rear portion, which
Yeah.
is the pre-engineered metal, we'll call it the arena portion. So the front portion will
Okay.
still be part of the pre-engineered metal building, but it'll have a lower, I'll say,
yeah, okay.
eve height than the rear of the building, but that's only like 20, 30
Yeah,
feet.
it's not a big
But
area.
it gives a nice aesthetic look to the building,
Yeah,
either way.
it's a nice looking building. And it's my understanding that all 3, or 2, I guess, one bay appears to take up 2/3 of the building and another one 1/3. Both bays, or there'll be more than 1 crane, 2 cranes, 3 cranes
Oh,
in the
multiple
building?
cranes, multiple.
There'll be
multiple.
3 rails that could have 2
Okay.
joints, depending.
Okay. You're going to occupy the whole building?
Yes.
Okay. It said 10.
Well,
So you're in the whole building, that's,
right,
okay.
yes.
In the letter that we received, you reference specs that you have to meet. Vertical distances, safety standards, efficient movement of large components throughout the facility. Do you have any document that states a distance, a standard, whether it's from aerospace, OSHA, MIOSHA, anyone?
So I don't know if he does, but I know somewhat of his business, and like I said, I was talking to Jenny before the meeting started, but if Blue Origin or Boeing contracts him out, and he has a contract with Boeing to provide X, Y, and Z for this plane or this space rocket, they're not going to dimensionalize it, right? Because it's his job to design and engineer it and provide those specs to them. So they're not going to say in any contract-related documents with them, you need to have X amount of height below a hook. They're going to assume that you can do what the contract states. So the only thing that I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you're going to have in terms of a spec to show dimensions is something that he designs that their engineers approve. So it's not like, you know, we can go to these clients and say, hey, we're trying to build a new building. They want something from you to state, you know, we need X amount of requirement, because each contract that they tool and fabricate for is different, right? It's not always the same pieces or the same parts.
Right, they're different, and, you know, you can use 30-foot diameter by hundreds of feet. So the requirements, you just wouldn't be able to bid it because you're not going to be able to facilitate it. And Blue Origin was out probably a month ago, took them over to the park, explained to them, you know, what we're thinking of doing, and we're trying to get 30 under the hook. He looked at me and said, you got to go 50. That's just the way they think. Now, I've been down in their plants, they're 60, 80 under the hook.
And who is that? I'm sorry.
Blue Origin, a rocket company.
this-
Yeah. Like SpaceX. This is very large, complex tooling, and the requirements are just such. You just won't get to the table. You're not going to be able to build it out there under our 18-foot hooks right now. It limits what we can quote. I mean, if you guys aren't up to speed in the area, he works for General Motors. These industrial parks, look at the roofs, they're all going up. And a lot of the tool companies that were automotive are all aerospace.
Yeah, I think everybody understands that, and, you know, based on the questions, clearly it's a project that I'm sure everybody supports. The problem that we have is, in order to move forward, we need something that identifies either a criteria, a standard, or something that you have to meet. We have to be able to support our decision if it goes to court. Not so much for you. Every decision that this body makes does not establish a precedent, but it does establish a pattern. So if the guy next door to you wants to put up a building and says, I want mine to be 50 feet, well, why do you want it? Well, I build big things, but I really want it 10 feet higher than his. We have to have a reason not to approve that. So I guess what I'm saying is there any kind of a standard, any kind of a...
You got a tool in front of them that requires, that's the requirements right there. That tool right there is 60 foot by 230 foot.
I mean, to his
I mean, what do
point,
you,
it does have the Futuramic logo right on
Yeah, I
the
understand.
Jeff Bezos space rocket. So
Yeah, but obviously
not-
you couldn't build that in this building.
sure you could.
No,
You
but they
build
built-
sections of it, it's built in
Yes.
tiers, but you're
So-
gonna need,
I think what Tom's getting at is if you're gonna build a 20-foot round section and you gotta lift that, what spec says you need to be able to lift it 3 feet off the ground or 5 feet off the ground, or, you know what I mean? So that there's some paper trail that says, yeah, we looked at this. The intent is that they can build a part this big, and to build that part, it needs that much space. Does that make sense? Because you guys got to have some standards that say, I can't build this part because I only got 30 feet under the hook.
They're not going to advertise that, though.
Right.
They're just
No,
going to
but-
deny the bid.
But
Right.
OSHA would
'Cause that wouldn't
stop
be
you or
smart
someone else,
business-wise.
or just the fact that you can't lift it high
Well, it's no
enough to
different
do
than
it,
what I'm doing today for automotive with 18-foot hooks.
Right?
It's an industry and these are standards. I mean, I certainly, you know, we're building a lot of the tooling right now, so I mean, it's a standard. You just, you know, the business won't come here and it can be put, you know, somewhere else. I mean, I don't know exactly what you want.
Well, if there's no, I mean, you reference industry standards, but you're saying that's really not a document. I'm not looking for a PhD dissertation. I think I had Dana send you the document that we got from Ford when they asked for a variance. It was pretty simple, and something like that is more than sufficient to satisfy what we need.
Well, they're not going to spec the crane or the hook.
No.
It's just the scope of work.
I know you have a time issue, I'm sure, that you're dealing with, because I know you want to go to planning tomorrow. Right?
Pardon me?
You want to go to planning tomorrow.
Wednesday.
Wednesday, I'm sorry. Yeah, so you're pushing the timetable here, and I understand that. What can you provide?
I can provide quotes, I can provide, you know, the standards are the standards. You want Boeing standard, you want Blue standard? I
If
mean,
you've got something that talks about the dimensions or the size of something that was built or that you've already built, that identifies, you know, I'm going to be real flexible here.
We're trying to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I
What's
mean,
the largest parts you could build in the building you have right now with the 18-foot hook?
vertically, 16 foot.
Okay?
Which
So-
technically means they wouldn't even be able to stack two of those pieces on top of each other to test them.
Right. So you can build 16 foot. You want to quote, obviously, bigger parts, right? So, and I don't remember the exact hook dimension you talked about here. It was
So
30.
clear-
That would
clear
be
under the hook
30.
is 30 with the
30
roof
feet.
members
Okay,
and the
that's what I
roof
thought.
assembly that we have.
Yep.
And the rails that need to travel on it, that puts us at a 45-foot height.
Yes, but the hook to floor is 30 feet.
Right.
Right.
Which will allow you to build a
What?
28-foot part?
Possibly, yeah.
Okay.
But
So
you work
I
at,
think
like I
some
say, you work at General
documentation to
Motors.
show that is what
you-
Tom's looking for.
Yeah, and I've been in all your plants, and I look at your hook height. I don't know why you have so much height, due to the fact that most of your tooling isn't quite that large. Heavy, I get. But certainly can get you a Boeing spec or a Blue spec or whatever spec you want.
Part sizes, I think, would help, right?
Yeah,
I
even if
mean,
you can put dimensions on something like this as to how big the piece is you're making and how much room you need to lift it, or if there's a spec that you can provide, we're happy to.
Well, I know everybody has flown on planes, whether it's private or commercial, and you look at a rocket is 30 foot in diameter by 240 foot. So most of the panels in there are very, very large. And under this particular ask, you're still a small player in the aerospace space business. This is small. So we can certainly get you what we're quoting to, if that's what you're looking for, and it specs out the size of the part when it's finished. And in order to build it, you need the hook.
Just out of
And
curiosity.
it's the safety and
Yeah.
the efficiencies. I mean,
Is anybody opposed to the height? Is this just a posterity?
No,
type deal of providing
as I
spec,
say, I
or-
think, you know, my read here is that no one is opposed to what you're asking for. The
So let
issue,
me ask you this. If that's the case, sorry. If I put, like, we have Bluebeam software, if I put a cloud and over here put the dimensions of each one of these tiers, and it exceeds the dimension that we spoke about, in order for him to put them together, is that sufficient?
Yeah, and if he's got whatever that other document is attached to that, as I say, I'm going to be real flexible on this thing, but I do have a responsibility, this board does, to protect the township if there's any future litigation. And I guarantee you there will be if someone is turned down for a height variance, and if it isn't documented. And what we say here tonight and what we do tonight is going to be part of the case against the township. So, you know, I think, I won't speak for every member of the board, but I will tell you that based on, I've been doing this for a while, based on what everybody is saying, nobody is opposed, and it makes sense to, you know, have that extra height to that building. So I don't think, that's not the question. The question is, we need something to support the decision that makes sense to
It's
grant
not
a
a, so
variance.
I'll provide you with some of our RFQs or RFPs, and you can see the size of them.
That's
that's-
more than adequate. As I
Okay.
say, I don't need a
Right.
stack of
I know.
documents.
I know what
We
you need.
something. So,
I think clouding the other document made sense too, right? 'Cause we got a picture with dimensions and then some quotes of part sizes, right? Both, I think, would help.
is there anything else you want to say?
Well, like I said, you guys are welcome to come out to the plant and see what we're doing. It's interesting, to say the least. I don't know how often anybody even goes out there. Did you guys ever see the building I'm talking about in Armada? That
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty much the same style building, just a smidge higher.
No, it's a nice looking building, and I mean, 5 feet, 6 inches is not going to shatter the world as far as.
We're gonna be back in a year asking for 65, so.
That's okay.
That's a good
See,
problem to
my
have.
term up in a year.
Well, you're not going to make it on those type of buildings out there anyway, so you got to start thinking outside the box.
Well,
I'll tell you
I
that
think
right now.
you have a good audience to talk to tonight because the chair of the planning commission is here, and I think what you're doing across the county, obviously, is what the county and this municipality
Right.
certainly sees as the future and wants to do. So if there's adjustments that have to be made,
Well, and another example, Sharp's buildings are obsolete for what we're doing. We're just grinding it out until we can get through the process. This isn't, this is a completely different building that's going to be needed because those buildings they're too short and they're automotive buildings. Jarrett knows how they're all, it's a different world.
so I think, if the least efficient process for anyone is for you to have to come here every time you want to do something to the ZBA. If there can be changes made in the ordinance itself that gives the planning commission more flexibility and you more flexibility. And,
So I'll provide the,
well, I have
Bubble
to
jar.
do something here. At this point, we either make a motion to approve or deny. And I think what I'm going to do, rather than ask that question without what we need, I'm going to recommend that the Planning Commission move forward on Wednesday evening with their meeting, and if everything is approved, have that approval contingent on this board approving the variance. And how long would it take you to get that information? Like quick?
I could have my bubble drawing with your dimensions done tomorrow. How long do you need to get the RFP?
Tomorrow,
We'll get you both documents tomorrow.
no problem.
Okay, we have to reconvene though.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you have to reconvene if you approve it contingent upon Documentation?
I can't do that. Planning Commission can, we can't.
Okay.
Well, if you get the plans, then
Well, see if we can,
you can meet tomorrow night.
Take a recess and talk through this.
well, I don't want to, I don't want to put a time frame on it that if something comes up, you can't meet. Is next Monday, I don't know if, is the room available Monday? Go ahead and check, will you please, Dana? You can still go through planning. If they've got things, you'll know that, and the most you'll be held up on anything is what, 2 days?
I don't want to put my foot in my mouth here, right? I'm honest to a fault, though. I don't know if legally we can hold a planning meeting without having the appeal.
Yeah, we can,
Okay.
yes. I've already.
But they can't approve until you approve.
Yeah, they can approve it contingent upon us meeting to approve it. And at this point, I will tell you, with the documentation, I see no reason that we won't.
I agree.
And I've checked with the township attorney on these things prior, and they can go ahead and meet and carry on their meeting as they normally would. So that's not going to be a trip.
Because waiting a whole nother month would kill us in the design.
Yeah, that's, I understand.
Yeah, the room is available.
All right. So can we have a quorum next Monday at 6 o'clock?
Yes. I can be here.
Yes.
Okay. All right, and, one of you is,
Sufficient.
yeah, fine to be here, and then we will just, I'm not going to close the hearing. We will continue the hearing. So if I could have a motion to postpone the hearing until next Monday, date, Monday the 9th at 6 o'clock.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and supported. Any comments, questions? Do you have any comments or concerns?
I'm good. Thank you.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Can I have a roll call, Dan?
Moss,
Yes.
Keller,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Felkoff.
Yes. So hopefully you will be able to move quickly through this. And is there something going to be planted over there? Looks pretty clear. Other than a building?
Yeah, some orange trees.
Yeah, there's orange trees there, yeah.
It'll look very pretty.
Yeah, it's a nice looking setup. Well, thank you. Hopefully this works out well for you, because I know that it's a direction certainly that the township wants to go, so they appreciate you coming.
Absolutely.
Should we make a motion to delay our action then?
Yeah, just postpone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you. It's been forever. I looked over there and I'm going,
Yeah, I think
who's that?
that's enough, because the hearing was never
Him.
closed. Okay.
Yeah, that's
We
awesome.
need to close,
When I read all this stuff over,
Pardon?
we need to close public hearing.
No, we'll leave the
yeah,
public hearing
what I have.
until next Monday, so we don't have to go through the
Me and
process.
Roger haven't talked with her.
China, Mexico, has diverted, plus the industry's changed, manufacturing,
Yeah.
aerospace and space, and all that.
Yeah,
It's really the future.
absolutely.
Detroit.
Yeah,
Yep.
we're glad you're here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you too.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you all. Item number 8 is comments from the floor, seeing no one in the audience. Number 9 is communications. Does anyone, young lady, please?
I've been working with Giffords Webster to get an updated, for the planning commission also, a complete new book, start to finish. There's been so many little changes, it's been hard to piecemeal the whole thing. So they're doing a comprehensive update. They were gonna try to have it done to us by tonight. That didn't happen. So now I have a second shot at seeing you all again next Monday, and hopefully I'll have it for you at that point.
Great.
Pressure's on Giffords then. Still.
Can you give them a quick update on the application?
Yes, you have to refresh my memory now. I can't give them an update.
She refuses to give you.
You're talking about the updated application
The
form?
application, yeah, I think it's still in administrative review within the
Yeah.
township
Yeah,
itself.
from the last time that we
Yeah.
spoke, there were some changes that were requested. I'll have that for you next time.
I think at this point, really, it's an internal document that needs to be
It is an internal
approved.
document, and how about this, you'll see it the next time you get an application, you'll see it in action. If
Okay.
anybody has any
Okay. All right. Anything else? Any other?
It's taken them weeks to type up one page, but they got the whole document filled out already.
Wait, say that again?
I said it's taken them weeks to fix one page, but they got that whole,
Oh, yeah.
Ordinance.
Yeah,
thank you.
okay. Anyone else? Jenny?
No?
Rick?
I'm good.
Good here.
You're good? We're all good? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Non-debatable. Meeting is adjourned.
Yes.
Ay, ay, ay.
That sounds like it'd be really good business to have here,
Yeah,
right?
well, it's
Oh
a
my
good,
gosh.
good area. If that's what they want to make that whole area, that'll be,
Yeah, it'd be great.
that'll be good. So
20 years of
you need, you know,
very good friends of mine.
maybe it is time to take a look at
Yeah, we used to
changing
do
the
a lot of stuff
criteria.
together,
Well,
him and his
yeah,
wife and
kind of like
his
the
kids
10
were
acre
real little.
rule.